I want to explain why I keep coming for LeBron. Well, there's a video out there of LeBron sitting on the bench, checking his stats in the middle of the game. And, the thing is, uh, the LeBron argument essentially comes at the expense of Kobe's legacy. In other words, the LeBron argument uh, that his statistical achievements make him the GOAT essentially eliminate any possibility that Kobe could be. Um, because if it's all about stats, then Kobe doesn't have a case. There's no statistical argument for Kobe. I explained this in a prior video. Um, Kobe wasn't trying to achieve stats. He could have, to a much greater degree than he did. He was trying to win championships. So I personally don't think you guys that think LeBron is the greatest player of all time, I really don't think you really want those problems, as they say in the street, when you really, in other words, I don't think you guys want an NBA wherein the greatest player of all time is awarded as such based on stats. I don't think you want that play, because think about it. The next great player, if he wants to eclipse LeBron, he knows off the bat that he doesn't really have to win as many championships as long as he finishes with more points, more rebounds, more assists. As long as he plays a long time, gets a lot of minutes. I don't think you want that type of NBA. But I digress. So Kobe wasn't trying to win. He wasn't trying to accumulate stats. And my contention is that impact is a far more relevant measure, and that that is something that cannot be precisely measured, but it can be measured enough to where we can dismiss the idea that stats alone, or for that matter, even primarily, determine who is the greatest player ever. And so I'm gonna be featuring players that are exceptionally impactful, but don't have the gaudy stats to be media darlings. And this was essentially my argument when I compared Scottie Pippen to Shaquille O'Neal. Shaq had the stats, but I would argue that Scottie was more impactful. So here we have Draymond Green. Okay. When I took a look at this, and I just took kind of a cursory look at what Golden State's record was with and without him, it shocked me, and I went back and did it again. Like I didn't believe what I found. This is Golden State's record with and without Draymond Green, beginning with the 2015 championship team. They're a 500 team. Okay, that is a 500 team. Mind you, this team has had, arguably the greatest, well, certainly the greatest shooter of all time, probably top 3 or 4 shooter, top 5 shooter of all time, Klay Thompson. Certainly the most skilled player of this era, Kevin Durant. Finals MVP, Iggy. You know, I just and they're a 500 team. I mean, if you notice, like, I mean, they were only when they had KD for the first 2 years were the Warriors really still a dominant team without Draymond Green. So you could essentially argue that Draymond Green was as impactful as was Kevin Durant. By the way, during KD's last season, they were still an average team without Draymond Green. So I need somebody to explain this. If you think that LeBron, with his career 28, 7-7, and his 50% field goal percentage is so impactful on winning, how is a guy that can't shoot making such a massive difference on the greatest team of this era? This team, they dominated the league, and now they're back dominating the league. But without Draymond Green, average team. So, I mean, it's just not true. There has to be a more comprehensive understanding of this GOAT debate. And that's why I say, who is the greatest component to a championship team? I have said, you cannot win the NBA championship without an all-defense team member. And that's going to be borne out this year, because it's really only about 3-4 teams that can win the championship. Okay, well, maybe the Nets, but more than likely, you know, you're looking at the Warriors, Suns, probably the Bulls, maybe the Bulls, even though the Bulls just got blown out last night. But, you know, the Sixers are in there, I think, and Milwaukee's in there, of course, the defending champion. All those players are going to have all defense team members. Okay? By the way, KD is an underrated defender. Okay? And I've always thought that he should get some consideration, especially that last year in Golden State. I thought he was excellent defensively. But my point is, defense is essential to a championship team. And when you look at the seasons that LeBron put up remarkable statistics, but failed to make the all-defense team, he was not helping his team nearly as much as a player that had lesser statistics but did. Because NBA history says that team, with the guy that's, you know, maybe 23, 5, and 6, you know, like a Kawhi Leonard, okay, that team has a much better chance of making the finals with less help around them. Much greater chance of winning the finals, rather, with less help around them than a player that has, you know, that's 28, 9, and 9, and is not an elite defensive player. You got to play defense. And Draymond Green is another example of that.